before the arenas, before the awards.
This is b4Nashville Live. Have a question for our guest?
Send it to us via Messenger.
Here's your host, George Davis.
And welcome back to Before Nashville, where we're introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. And I've got a guy joining me tonight. Let me give you a little bit of background about him real quick, all right? He has shared bills with country superstars like Luke Bryan, like Old Dominion, Granger Smith, Montgomery Gentry, Marshall Tucker, Clint Black. I'm sure there's a lot of dots after that. There's got to be more than that. He's very popular on Spotify and YouTube. He's reached both new and established country fans. His music has been featured on Country Rebel, CMT, The Heartland, and the Country Network. And Houston, thanks for coming on tonight. It's been a great show, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Just to get all of your accolades in there, man, it's like the entire show is just gone.
Well, we stay busy, I guess,
Yeah. Most definitely. So tell me a little bit about Houston Bernard, because you are now in the Northeast, correct?
Yeah, so I was born in Oklahoma. I grew up in Alaska. I actually lived in New York City for a while, and now I'm outside Boston. So I'm up in New England, and I've been playing country music up here for about 8 years. But my father and my uncle played for many years, and of course, when you're a kid, you try to rebel against what your parents do,
Right.
I kind of did, and the people, that I was around weren't into it, and I kind of was a rock guy for a while. But 8 years ago, I started an outlaw country band, and I was like, oh, this feels good, and then I was like, finding my voice. I was like, oh, it's the first time my voice feels natural instead of like straining or whatever. And I started writing, and then 3 albums later, opening up for a lot of people. We'll just keep moving forward and keep doing our best, try to improve, so I'm lucky to do it.
So you're born in Alaska, and apparently at that point your family moved to Oklahoma.
I'm sorry, I was born in Oklahoma, but my dad
okay.
was a broke musician, so he rejoined the army, and they sent him to Alaska.
Oh, I got you.
Yes, and so when my parents finally split up, my mom went back to Massachusetts, where she's originally from. He met her touring, and that's kind of how it worked.
I was kind of wondering the progression there of how you got from Oklahoma to Alaska to Maine, New York, Massachusetts, not Maine, New York and Massachusetts, because that's not exactly somewhere people move to from Oklahoma. So I understand it now.
I don't know. I feel like Oklahoma is very similar to Texas in a way, and Texas is very similar to Alaska, but bigger and wilder.
And a lot warmer.
Yes, it's definitely warmer.
So, and here's the cool thing, because through the course of doing the podcast, I have talked to people that are from New England, and there's a huge country scene up there. I mean, a lot of people, like I said before, they wouldn't think there's a big country music scene in New England, but there is.
It's funny. I've been playing country music for about 8 years, and there's always this idea that, country music is only in one place. And I get it. It's the marketing of it all. But even, if you had the chance to watch the Ken Burns documentary, Country Music, they're talking about the early establishment of country music. A lot of the writers that were writing for country music were in New York City.
Right.
A lot of the people that were country artists weren't necessarily from the South, and they would dress up and pretend they were hillbillies, pretend, missing teeth. It was like a caricature of, so it's a really interesting thing, people's idea of what it's supposed to be or whatever. But there are country music fans everywhere. Country music is appealing everywhere. There are a million farms up in New England that of country people. It's like you've got a couple cities, and then the rest of it's kind of like farm or very spread out and very rural.
And like I say, that's just kind of odd, because I got to admit, I'm a typical person from the South, and my thinking is, New England, you've got first off, you got a lot of high rises. You got a lot of bustling. People don't take their time. They're all got to go, got to go real quick, moving. And that's not the typical. I mean, honestly, that's not the case. People get the wrong idea because of New York and Boston and, the bigger cities up there.
Right.
It's about most of the places we ever hear about up in that area, but, like Nashville's a big city, but Nashville's a different breed. I mean, it's kind of a city. Nashville's almost like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a civilization in and of itself.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because there's so many different people meshed into Nashville. A lot of people will say, well, I was born and raised here, but there's fewer people in country music that were born and raised in Nashville than what we think.
There's a lot of people that are in country music that were born in Oklahoma. That's for sure. I keep tabs on them all.
Right. Well, you got, one of the biggest ones. You got Blake Shelton.
Yeah.
Garth Brooks. That pretty much sums it up right there. There's more, but you got those kind of guys, and it's
huge artists. Toby Keith.
Yeah.
And you just go on Carrie and Reba.
Carrie Underwood, Reba. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And they've just made it, and Oklahoma kind of has that connection with the Texas music scene, which is Texas music's not like Nashville. It's still country music, but it's not Nashville. It's kind of like hot chicken, there's Nashville hot chicken, and then there's Buffalo Wild Wings hot chicken. And they are not the same by any stretch of the imagination.
Where are you from, George?
I'm actually from Missouri.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So I'm kind of, we were kind of neutral. If you could look back to the Civil War, anything like that, we were the neutral group. So we still can't make decisions. So we still don't commit to anything, other than marriages. And that's, I guess, few and far between for a lot of folks.
Yeah, I think that's just being human and, listening to all sides. You're like, well, I can see everybody's point here. Why not just sit here and do nothing?
Yeah.
I feel like that sometimes where it's just like, I agree with, I kind of agree with you. Well, I don't know. I'm just the music and I'll let you guys figure it out.
I feel like Missouri is where the participation trophy was developed.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, and I know the governor and Mike, I'm sorry, but it's true.
Nice.
But so here you are, you're give me a little bit. How old were you when you got into music? You said you got into rock music during that rebellion stage. How old were you at that time?
Well, I started playing Elvis music. I remember in elementary school, I would lip sync to actually some videos online. It's terrible. One of my songs, I put a clip of me, lip syncing to Elvis with a jumpsuit and the whole thing. I was about 11, 12 years old. So I started with Elvis and the Beatles, that kind of thing, and then from there I went into heavier stuff and Nirvana and Foo Fighters and Led Zeppelin and all the 70s rock.
Right.
Bands, it's that kind of thing, and but I liked like Dwight Yoakam and Willie Nelson, of course, and I got into a lot more after that, and then it just kind of happened progressively, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm always writing or I'm always doing something creative, and it's just kind of like, well, I'm kind of done with this kind of. I was doing like electro rock thing for a minute. And then, I was singing in high school. I was singing Frank Sinatra at events. Like I was always singing because I just appreciate music.
Right.
But my voice really just came when I started doing country. I was like, whoa, I didn't think I was going to feel so at home and so honest. And, a lot of the times music is very pretentious, like trying to be so cool. And it's like, I've never been cool. Right. Country music, you could be cool or you could not be cool, or you could be anything you want. Like that's how I feel about it anyway.
Right.
And I'm just trying to be my authentic self, be honest with myself, and maybe that will come through in the music and hopefully people like it. and I get to play. I mean, I love, it's a gift to be able to play music for people.
I think that's the biggest thing about country music is, like you said, it's just honest. It's raw and honest. There's really there's no facades in country music. I don't think. I mean, there may be somewhere, somebody maybe something that they say they are, they're different of what they say, but for the most part, everybody is true to who they say. And I love the authenticity of it.
Yeah.
As opposed to, the rock music or the pop music or that kind of thing,
It's a different thing.
Not that I'm not into rock or anything like that. I mean, everybody listens and statistically the number 2 format for country music folks that they turn to is classic rock music. And that's what I enjoy, so.
Me too.
And and even some of the newer rock. I mean, I enjoy some of that, but that's, the stuff where they're screaming and I can't understand a word they're saying, I'm usually punching out pretty quick. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own, and there's so much out there to love and enjoy that you don't want to waste your energy hating on anything, but you got to find what makes sense for you, and that's
right.
Music communicates, and it can bring us to another place, and that's a real gift.
Right. Now, any formal training with your voice or, instrument playing, anything like that? Do you have anything formal or just pick it up on your own?
A little bit. When I was about 11, 12 years old, my mom was very supportive and she did the best she could. She got me some vocal training. I was actually doing like plays and musicals when I was a kid, among other things. And I had a voice coach for about a year. He was an opera singer. Mm-hmm. Control and that sort of thing. So it gave me some basics, because you can easily sing through your nose. So I got some basics there. And then in my teen years, I pretty much lost all of it, just screamed into a microphone. But I had also some guitar lessons when I was a kid. But really, I would say I've become, quadrupled my musicianship in the past 8 years, just being around really good musicians.
Right.
Country musicians, jazz musicians that I hire, and I've had pretty much the same band for the past 8 years, except for the drummers. The drummers always rotate for some reason. I don't know if that's how it is, but I've had the same amazing guys, and I've learned so much from them. And just
it's hard to find a good bunch of guys to be in a band together where you think, I mean, on average, let me ask this, on average, how many days a year are you touring when there's no pandemic going on? A normal year, how many days a year?
We don't do a crazy amount of dates. I would say 60 or 70 a year. We've done up to 100, but then it's like, being selective is good. And we do some fly out dates, and sometimes we'll, go upstate New York, something like that, Florida or whatever. But most of the time, it's like you don't want to saturate a city, and you want to bring fans out periodically, every quarter or something like that. And then, sometimes you get tired of some of the venues around here. I've gotten tired, because you're dealing with club owners, and club owners aren't all awesome. And is a certain amount of, respecting yourself that you have to do. And And so that kind of happens when you're in a small area. And this is a small region when there's only so many venues to play. There's probably a good 10 venues in New England, plus a bunch of festivals and that sort of thing.
Right.
But yeah, it's just like you got to be selective, I think.
So, but and that was leading back to what I was saying is that the I guess chemistry when you have band members, even if you're playing 60 dates a year or you're playing 100 dates a year, that can kind of get a little overwhelming. And you find guys leaving, and that kind of thing. So to have guys that you've been with for that long, other than drummers, and I used to play drums. The problem with drummers are we're ADD. So, we can't stay anywhere that long.
For sure. No, it's honestly, these guys have been so good to me. We look out for each other. We're like brothers at this point. And man, they've saved a couple of gigs. I remember falling asleep. We were supposed to go to New York one morning, and my guitar player's out, like throwing rocks at the window because I'm not answering my phone. But it's like these were like big paying gigs that we couldn't miss. And we've never missed a gig in 8 years. Never missed a gig. I've played sick. I played deathly ill. But these guys always have my back, and we're always supporting each other, and you can't ask for more than that.
Right. And that's one of the things. I mean, if you're playing and you do get sick, I mean, it's hard to cancel, because sometimes you're going to have, you may have a contract, you may have some kind of agreement, and then you don't want to cancel because you lose money. I mean, I get that part of it. And you're just like, oh we and then you're like, but I can't do it. I just can't. So how do you deal with that? I
don't know. We used to do double gig days, and we used to do like 4-hour blocks. So I would sing for 4 hours. And this is when I was, because I had some other vocal coaching. I worked with some, because I was losing my voice a lot.
Right.
When you're singing that many hours, when we first started, we was like taking everything. And I had sang with pretty much no voice. I'd be like, I would just talk or whatever. I would just make it work,
Right.
That's no way to live.
Right.
And you're shortchanging you're shortchanging your audience, and you don't.
Right. So what's the fan base like in New England as far as country music overall goes? Is there a large fan base for it? I mean, others I've talked to have explained that to me.
Well, even when my dad was young and he was touring, he came to New England because that's where there was some work here.
Mm-hmm.
But so there's always been country music fans here. But you've got Zach Brown that'll sell out Fenway Park 3 nights in a row, 4 nights I think one year. Gillette Stadium, Kenny Chesney 2 or 3 nights. Luke Braun, there's a ton of country fans. I remember, we've been all over. There's so many large venues, and there's just so many country shows. Everybody tours up here.
Right.
There's 2 country radio stations in Boston, if that gives you an idea. Like in Boston's it's a fairly small market. It's not like Houston with like 3 million people. It's I think around 1 million or 1.5 million or something all around.
Right.
So I mean, 2 country stations is pretty good for a market. And then you go right down to Providence. There's a country station there. There's like 2 country stations in Maine. There's country stations everywhere, and they're doing well. And all the shows are doing well. So, yeah, right. I would say there's a ton of country fans up here. A ton.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
So out of the venues that you've played, and I know, like you said, you get tired of them, but what is your favorite venue? Tell us the name, describe it, what you like about it, that kind of thing.
Sure. Well, let me just massage that a little bit. It's not the venues I get tired of. It's not the people that I get tired of. It's dealing with management that are disrespectful.
Fair enough on that one.
For sure. I mean, the people are amazing. That's why we do it. Right. But my favorite venue is a place I basically call home. It's right outside of Fenway Park. It's one Lansdowne Street. A place called Loretta's Last Call, and that opened 2014, and we've been playing there a couple times a month for a long time.
Right.
And that place just gets packed with people that are having some fun, lying down the street. It's awesome. It's live music, I think 5 nights a week normally, non-pandemic times. But yeah, that's my favorite venue because it's a smaller venue. You're maybe 6 inches off the ground. So people are right there. You can hear everything. People can say whatever they want to you, and you're just right there and connecting with people. And we're all, we do mostly covers on a 3-hour night.
Right.
Mostly covers. So a lot of the times people will be singing along with you, and just like the room is just shaking. It's just an amazing emotional roller coaster. It's such a great time. And there's people from all over that come to Boston. Every time, I can't, pretty much every night we play, there's someone will come up with, I'm from Texas. I didn't realize they had great country music up here. Like we get that kind of thing all the time. And then we get people like, I hate country music, but I like you guys. So it's an interesting,
Yeah.
we're pretty,
That's always an interesting statement to me. I hate country music, but I like Luke Bryan. What? So he's the only one you ever listened to.
Yeah, and Luke Bryan, was inspired by others and sounds, similar to others.
Right.
So it's kind of a rub, as they say.
Right, and that's just one of the most hilarious things I've ever heard people say is, "Oh, I hate country music, but I like you guys."
I'm just glad someone likes us,
Right, right, yeah.
Yeah. People are funny. Oh, I think I just lost your audio, George. Still can't hear you, but I'll dance while you're figuring it out. Nope, can't hear you. Nothing yet. That's weird how it just went off, huh? It's time to dance. All right, maybe I should do a song. I'll keep him busy, George. Should probably tune in if I'm going to sing a song. I'll play my current single, which is a song called People We Are. I'll play it till George gets back. We try to do the right thing. I think maybe someday it'll come back around. Oh, with everything that life brings, we've had our share of ups and downs. We know where we're from and don't stop till it's done. It's sun up to sundown. Life in a little town. We're a little bit of hell, yeah, a little bit of amen. A whole lot of work on, throw in a little bit of play in. The barbed wire on fence posts, tractor trucking on a county road, down in the heartland of stripes and stars. Yeah, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people we are. Get a piece of land on a piece of land. If you can't pay cash, you don't need it that bad. We look you in the eye, shake your hand. You can bet it's as solid as a signed contract. We're a little bit of hell, yeah, and a little bit of amen. A whole lot of work on, throwing a little bit of play in. The barbed wire on fence posts, tractor trucking on a county road, down in the heartland of the stripes and stars. Yeah, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people we are. We know where we're from and don't stop till it's done. It's sun up to sundown, life in a little town.
All right.
Right before the break.
I have no idea what happened, but thank you for covering for me there.
Guitar always comes in handy, I'm telling you.
I know. I've got them hanging on the wall, but I don't know how to play them, so they don't do me any good.
Oh, they're pretty though. They are pretty.
But they got to hear some of your new single, and we are going to play that the produced version here in just a minute. And again, thank you, Houston, for covering my backside. It's always good to have that. And It's like I said, I have no idea what happened. My computer just said I'm tired of working, so I'm going to take the night off, and it's like, no, you can't do that. So anyway, your stage shows. Now, your stage shows have been pretty much described as, and I'm summarizing in my own words here, just a heck of a good time. A lot of energy, a lot of just fun and things like that. So what is a typical show if you're not doing just even if you're doing just a cover show, what's a typical show like?
Well, gosh, it's been so long since, when you play a lot, you get real good, and it's just like this oiled machine. You just you can really get to another level. But for us, it's really just it's really about the energy from the crowd. We get together. We love to play with songs with each other, but it's really about the energy you get from the crowd, and that can really take you to a place when you get inspired. And yeah, I've hurt myself on stage.
Okay, so that leads me to a good question. What is the worst injury you've had on stage?
Oh, wow.
Other than the typical groin pull. We won't go with that one, but
well, for some reason I used to be inspired quite a bit to do the splits on stage, and half splits, with the bended knee,
right,
and whatever, and the jumps and all of that. It's just I get so riled up, and that's what I know how to do.
Right.
It's a good audience. I'm like, yeah, and just get into it. But the biggest injury I had, and this is before I played country music, just because this is a funny story. So I'm playing my Gibson Les Paul. I'm doing this show, and the light, I'm on the stage. The light is being shined right in my eyes. You're supposed to shine at the chest, right in my eyes. So I thought it was, I'm trying to keep the energy going. I'm doing the thing. And I thought it was a step on the side of the stage. I was going to jump off the stage, rock out.
Right.
And so it wasn't that, it was a step off the stage. So I went right down, face first, hit the floor, broke my Gibson Les Paul, which I played with Les Paul back in the day when I was living in New York City, and he signed my guitar. This is the same guitar. Broke it in half, but I kept going on the show. I just pretended like that was part of the show. Of course, my guitar was done, but yeah, so that was a pretty big, and I was all bruised up, but I would also had some drinks, and I was a little numb, but I felt it the next day for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a pretty bad one for sure. Yeah.
Wow, that would hurt so bad. I mean, I've taken dumps before. I've never had a Les Paul in my hands when I've done it, but I have fallen before, on stage,
right.
And generally it was coming out behind the set, and I'd trip.
Oh yeah.
And the bad thing about some of the places we played, they've got like walls. So the drummer's back in a cave, and you've got a wall, and you trip and you face plant on the wall. That's always pretty. So,
Yeah.
Right. It's like you come out, your nose is bloody, it's like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I've never had them that bad. I've just had them, happen. But so, since you gave him a little taste of the new single, let's go ahead and jump ahead to that, and let's share the produced version. And not that the acoustic was bad at all, and I'm a big proponent of acoustic music because I've always said that if an artist can pull off their song acoustically, they're a true artist.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because you don't have all the gimmicks and the everything that they can give you in the studio. The studio makes a lot of people sound really, really good.
Yes, and it sounds good. People make good people sound great.
Right, and it makes people like me just understand why I'm not in music, regardless of what they do.
We're going to have to produce a single for you, George. We're going to get you a song.
I've actually already been approached and have committed to doing a TikTok of a single, but it's one of those where I'm using somebody else's music. So, I'm singing their song. So I have to come up with a video in my head, and I've got to get this done by August because I'm going to be seeing this artist in August, and I don't want to let him down. So I got to get it done by August.
Okay.
So we'll find out how that goes. But anyway, we've got Houston. We've got his brand new single. And just a quick reminder that Before Nashville being brought to you by Go-Go Tuners, built by professional musicians, used by professional and amateur musicians alike. And if you are like me and you can't tune a guitar, yes, I wrote REOs. I can tune a fish, but I can't tune a piano. But or however that went, that's the way I do it anyway. You'll understand these are great tuners. They've got a good technology that's called Green You're In, Red You're Out. Tells you exactly where you're at when you're tuning. And they're amazing, and they help me a lot. So check them out, gogotuners.com. Here's Houston Bernard. This is called People We Are on Before Nashville, where we introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today.
We try to do the right thing. I think maybe someday it'll come back around. Oh, with everything that life brings, we've had our share of ups and downs. We know where we're from and don't stop till it's done. It's sun up to sundown. Life in a little town. We're a little bit of hell, yeah, and a little bit of amen. A whole lot of work hard and throw in a little bit of play. Yeah, with a barbed wire on the fence post, tractor trucking on a county road, down in the heartland of the stripes and stars. Yeah, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people we are. Get a piece of mind on a piece of land. If you can't pay cash, you don't need it that bad. We look you in the eye and shake your hand. You can bet it's as solid as the signed contract. We're a little bit of hell, yeah, and a little bit of amen. A whole lot of work hard and throw in a little bit of play. With a barbed wire on the fence post, tractor trucking on a county road, down in the heartland of the stripes and stars. Yeah, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people we are. We know where we're from, and don't stop till it's done. It's sun up to sundown, life in a little town. We're a little bit of hell, yeah, and a little bit of amen. A whole lot of work hard and throw in a little bit of play. With a barbed wire on the fence post, tractor trucking on county road, down in the heartland of the stripes and stars. Yeah, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people, that's the kind of people we are. Yeah, that's the kind of people we are. Yeah, that's the kind of people we are.
All right, that is Houston Bernard, and that's the kind of people we are. It's actually called People We Are. I added that's the kind of, but that's part of the song. So now, did you use studio musicians, or is that your band doing the the music in that, the backup?
Well, those were studio musicians.
Okay.
I recorded those down in Nashville. I didn't want to do the Nashville thing for so long, just because I've always been anti everything. Like it's a problem. And
right.
My manager was like, "Well, there's this label kind of interested, but they want to hear you sound like the Nashville sound." And I'm like, it's not going to hurt to go down and do some songs. You know, I had some songs, and then I recorded. That was written by Kim Penz and Cole Taylor, and Cole Taylor's written a bunch of hits for a bunch of people. It was a great song, and I just felt it, and it is deeply like who I am. And it was an awesome experience working with Bill McDermott in Nashville, and I was very happy with the 4 songs that we did. Mm-hmm. I'm going down there in May, actually going to record 6 more songs with him, and kind of 7.
Right.
But I'm very excited about it. So yeah. So the studio musicians, I mean, they just nail it. This is what they do all day. They nail it. And, if they're really good, they can make it sound different. A lot of songs kind of have a similar little my guitar player. It's not very polite, but my guitar player calls it guitar licks for children. Because they're so, it's like
Right.
it's kind of, and you hear that on like 20 different songs that are released. With there's still, some of them are still doing the click, which I have a song like too, but it's like the whole genre was sounding like that for a minute.
Yeah.
So the challenge is to be able to not only play it, quickly and well together with the other musicians, but also make it sound interesting and different. And I think the people that he works with, there's a whole pool of people, of course, really nail that. And I'm so happy with my recording. So I'm looking forward to working with him again.
And Bill's a very good producer. I mean, he's I've talked to several people that have worked with him.
Yeah.
And just love the stuff he does. He does some really great work.
He does.
And so it's really, it's cool to see, and talk to so many different artists that have worked with him. Now, before we get into anything else, because there's a phrase in the song that talks about the stars and the stripes, and we're going to look at that for a minute because you are a veteran.
It's true. I am Army veteran.
And how long did you serve?
9 years.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. We appreciate that very much. I'm very supportive of the military, very supportive of first responders, and veterans. Actually work with a group where we are doing a veterans concert coming up here. We're actually doing 2 of them, one in August, one in September. And all the money goes back to a veteran organization. So we're super excited about that. And love it. I mean, there's a lot of our headliner at St. Louis is a 10-year Air Force vet. And we've got some other folks that are, either military brats. And I say that out of love for anybody listening. Why did he call me a brat? But that were that or that serve. So I thank all of you, for your service. And are you said your dad had gone back into the military. That's why you were up in Alaska.
Yeah, he was in twice.
Oh, wow.
And then my brother was in, for forever. And so many people in our family, mostly Army. I think there's a couple Marines. My dad had 11 siblings.
Wow.
So I think pretty much all of the men for sure served. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Thanks to all of them. Thanks to all of them, because that's pretty cool.
So I do my best to get involved with as many veterans. I mean, it's a thing that's very close to my heart. I've seen a lot firsthand that is, pretty tough to watch, and veterans need as much help as possible.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for, I was lucky. I was in between things and I didn't have to go overseas. So, but there are a lot of people that were affected a lot.
Yes.
And they deserve the attention and patience and love that we can give.
Right. And I will say this just quickly, and Houston and I did not talk about this beforehand, but I do want to put this out there because I'm also familiar and have worked with this organization for a while, but also familiar with the veteran suicide. 22 vets commit suicide every day. And that's something that has really been heavy for me. I mean, I don't know any veterans that I'm aware of that committed suicide, and I may find out that that's different and it come out, that I did know them and just didn't know the cause or whatever. But 22 veterans commit suicide every day. And I just want to say this to veterans, first and foremost: if you have that feeling, whatever you do, seek help. Call your local VA, talk to them, get information about how they can help you. And if you can't do that, then you can message me, because I have some connections that I can put you in touch with. And these guys will mentor you and they will help you through that. And if you're somebody that knows a veteran, a lot of times when they're in that way, they just need to talk. So talk to them. Don't just say, hey, how you doing? And they tell you and you go, oh, okay. Talk to them. because sometimes that gets them off that cliff. So that's my PSA for this edition of Before Nashville. But it's a very worrisome thing. And anytime I have a veteran artist on, I always try to bring that up. That because there may be veterans watching and they may have those ideations, and we want to get rid of those. We want them to stick around and share their stories, good, bad, or ugly. I mean,
for sure, it's a process, and there's no shame in it. Like, we're human beings. We're not meant for some of that stuff, to not affect us. We have families. We've got a heart. It's cool. Like, there's always people there. So you don't have to talk about it. Just like be around people that know what's up and that support you, and go play cornhole or something. Just stay busy. Yeah. Do something positive.
Stay busy. It's like Fran just messaged and said, "Don't take a permanent action for a temporary problem." And sometimes those problems may seem temporary, but they may be longer. But that permanent action is never the answer, regardless. So, we want to make sure that everybody understands that. So we've got some fun we want to have. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about you and family. All right. And we're going to do this in this little segment right here. So this is a segment I call I Heard a Rumor. And the rumor that I have that relates to your family is that you are the descendant of an outlaw, not outlaw country, a literal outlaw from back in the day. So tell us a little bit about that.
I actually just wrote a song about it, which I'm recording, called It's in My Blood. My great-grandfather, you might have heard of the Eagles, their album Desperado. Mm-hmm. Well, they did a themed album about the Wild Bunch. Track 10 is called Bitter Creek, which is my great-grandfather, George Bitter Creek Newcomb. And he ran with the Wild Bunch and the Dalton and the Doolin gang, and I believe the James gang as well. They're all kind of in that area. And he was up to no good, and he got himself shot. They shot him while he was sleeping.
Oh, wow.
And then when he was where they were carrying him away on the shed or the wagon or whatever, the guy that was driving looked back and he saw the sheet moving, and they moved the sheet and he was loading his gun. Oh. Yeah, so it's an interesting story. But my name, Houston Bernard, a lot of people think it's a stage name, but I was named after just talking about family, my uncle who died on the farm in Oklahoma when he was 2 from the flu, and then he was named after my other grandfather, Houston Harrison, who was also shot by a police officer who he had a personal grudge with. And so when he shot in the street, they had to wait until and this was way back when, they had to wait, like 1910, I believe. They had to wait until the next police from the next town over would come over. So he's laying there in the street. My grandmother is seeing her father. She was a young girl, seeing her father in the street. They didn't put a blanket over him or anything. Oh, wow. So it's like really interesting stories.
Right.
But Bitter Creek Newcomb, yeah, he was a famous outlaw. So I kind of wrote a song, It's in My Blood, and I talked a little bit about that, how I got my name, and my father when he joined the military, that kind of thing. My great grandfather, and I try to make it in a song that's relatable to people, because we all have family, right? And our family kind of gives us our identity, and in certain ways, and our structure and our upbringing, maybe depending. Like there's a lot of varieties of that kind of thing. So I feel like that kind of song might be relatable to people. I'm hoping. It's my story, but I think because everyone has their own story, it will be relatable.
Right. Well, when I first read that, it really it got me wondering, and I didn't get to do the research I wanted to do on it because this is the problem. I'm afraid if I had, I'd have gone down a rabbit hole and I wouldn't have been here tonight. I'd have missed the whole thing because that kind of stuff intrigues me, you know.
Yeah, that happens.
And so I didn't want to do that, but that's a super cool story as far as, you know, just the progression and the way that things happen for them, and then now you're kind of going back and showing your roots to that, you know, with the new song, which will be coming out
I have
couple
no
months.
idea.
Okay, just whenever you get back to Nashville and record it.
Yeah, I'm gonna record it, finish recording it, and then we've got a bunch of other songs in line.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't. You know, it all depends on how good it comes out, you know, because like we're recording a remote for that one song.
Oh,
wow. My band playing on it, and I was like, oh, we should start working on something. So we started doing it. I'm gonna give it to Bill McDermott, see if he can make some magic out of it.
Right.
But if it, you know, you put so much work into something, and if it doesn't come out with your vision, if it doesn't, you know, grab you the way you wanted it to, especially a song like this, which was really means a lot to me, then it's like, oh, do I record it again? Do I spend the money and record it again, or do I just live with this song that's an 8 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10? You know, struggle.
So have you been playing it out? I mean, if you're playing live, and you may not be right now, but if you play live, is that part of the you know, your set that you're doing, or?
Well, we did it for because I had just written it this past year. I wrote songs this past year, but we did it on a live stream, full band live stream, and I do it all the time on acoustic live stream every Monday. I do original music, and it felt good.
Yeah, right.
People seem to like it, but you know, 30 people on a live stream versus, you know, a room full of a couple hundred people. I don't know.
Right.
So we'll see. That'll be exciting.
Good luck. I hope it does well, because I can't wait to hear it. I really want to keep my eyes open for that one, because that sounds like it's going to be a great song. So let's move on, because I have another little segment that I like to do. And in this segment, I'll tell you up front, this is one where I ask you just kind of off the wall questions. Okay. And so we'll get this segment started with this right here.
What the hell?
Yes, this is a segment I call What the Hell, because of the questions. You don't know what I'm going to throw out there. So I'm going to start off with one. Sarah got through to me. She wasn't able to come on tonight, so we're going to use one of her questions, but we're not.
Hey, Sarah.
We'll jump onto that here in just a minute. Let me get back over to. I may have to open up with that one because I can't find my. Here we are. All right, I have all my questions on my phone, so it's like, oh, good job. And then I got on my phone for another reason a while ago, and it just messed everything up. And that wasn't what caused everything. So have you ever sleepwalked or ever talked in your sleep?
Sleepwalk, I don't think. Talked, well, there was a one time when I was drunk and I was sleepwalking, and I went to see if there was I had to go to the bathroom, and I wasn't in the bathroom when I went to the bathroom. So how about that?
Oh, there you go.
There's a story you don't want to share with people.
Right. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever worn?
Oh man, I used to do a lot of theater, so I'm not sure if that counts. I was doing a Led Zeppelin type of thing. You know how Robert Plant used to wear women's bell-bottom pants. So one time I wore these bell-bottom pants without underwear,
Oh, no.
They were very tight. And I was like, man, I probably shouldn't have worn these, like you're thinking, and people could not stop staring, and I'm like, oh man, it was, it was a weird time.
Yeah, that would be quite interesting.
What are you gonna do?
So Sarah's question, and I really love this question. This is hilarious. You're given an elephant. You can't sell it. You can't give it away. What are you going to do with it?
Oh, I don't know. Start a GoFundMe page to try to help feed it and find, buy some land. Try to learn how to tame it a little bit, talk to it, be friends with it. I saw this great TikTok where this guy would do tons of flips off of it. His elephant and trampolines and stuff. Maybe I could do something like that. I don't know. Without hurting myself, probably impossible.
Yeah, right.
I'm prone to hurting myself on large animals. Anyway.
Large pachyderms. All right, so here's an age-old question. Toilet paper, over or under?
I'm going to have to go with over.
All right,
I don't know. It's how I was brought up.
There you go. That works. Mama said.
It makes sense to you. Like people that are one way or the other, it's like it just makes sense to them. I don't think there's really a wrong or right way. It's just like whatever you like. But
it's so funny.
When you pull it that way, I feel like when you pull it with it in the back there, going down, I feel like sometimes if you pull on it, it'll really start going, and then you get too much.
Right.
And you're like, oh man,
you can't stop it.
You kind of roll it back up,
And then for those of us, and I'm not this OCD, I am in some things, but for those that are OCD, everything's got to be perfect. So you've got it off a little bit, and then you're golly, and then pull it out and do it again. It's like, and that was one of my favorite questions at the beginning of the pandemic when everybody started buying up toilet paper. I did that on the radio, and some people were saying, well, you do it over because if you do it under, a mouse could run up it or a spider or something. And I'm going, huh? Because they could, push it up against the wall with their, or something. I don't know. It was weird, but that's why I don't put toilet paper where it's up against the wall,
I don't know what to say, George, there. You need some traps in your home?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Call an exterminator.
Something.
Describe your sense of humor in one word.
Silly. Okay, I'll go with
that. If you were out to dinner with no cash, what would you do or say to get the bill paid?
I would ask if I could sing for them, probably. It's like, hey, because I'm sure I'll have a guitar near me. I say, hey, can I do some songs and sing and pay for the dinner? I'm sorry, I forgot my wallet. And I don't have any cash. Or I can do dishes. I was a dishwasher in high school. I can do that.
If you sing, say, just let me put out a tip jar, please. I'll pay for it that way.
We'll have the audience pay for my dinner.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, let me see here. I had a really good one, and I went right past it. So we don't want to do that one. Okay, this is a good one. Is cereal soup? Why or why not?
Cereal soup. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Because soup is warm to hot.
Ah, that's a good answer.
I don't know if that's a fact, but that's what I'm going with.
That is a very, very good answer. I like that. I really like that. We've already talked about your ancestors. We know the most interesting thing there. Let's see here. That one we won't go to. We try to keep the show PG at least. Have you ever eaten a whole tube of Pringles by yourself?
Yes.
You kind of look ashamed of that answer.
Well, I kind of pride myself in taking care of my health, and there was a time that I was not. I think in college I would do that. I would get eat too much pizza, deep
Right.
dish, and just like Pringles and the dip and some beer, and the next thing you know, I'm like, whoa, what happened? I don't feel so good. That was during that time. George?
Well, college does weird things to people. It turns some people that might have a little common sense into complete idiots at times.
Well, their minds are somewhere. When you're in school, your mind is in school usually, or school partying, school.
Right.
School,
So what's your favorite flavor of Pringles?
I really like the Cool Ranch and the cheese, like the extra cheese.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say Cool Ranch. Oh, barbecue are pretty good. I like barbecue. The Cool Ranch, I don't know, George. You're stumping me here. Barbecue. Let's go barbecue.
All right, we'll go with barbecue.
Okay.
Here's a good one, and that ends the what the hell segment. So we'll play
right.
the intro again for the outro. All right, so that's
Did I do
what the
all
hell.
right, George?
You did great. You did
Did I
great.
pass?
I loved it. You passed.
All right.
So now let's talk back about the music a little bit, because a friend of mine, I was telling you about the whole charity Freedom Jam is what it's called. And he's told me to ask this question before, and I keep forgetting to write it down because it's a great question. What is your favorite cover song to perform?
Oh, gosh. I want to say Hell Yeah by Montgomery Gentry. I think that with my band, but it probably ties with Shoot Me Straight by Brothers Osborne. I'm going to have to go with Shoot Me Straight.
All right.
They're both good.
Both very good songs.
Different ways. But
Great
what
one.
I love about doing those covers is that my musicians just unleash their fire.
Right.
You just sit and just go along for the ride and not even think about anything except playing the right chords, and just enjoying that ride. Like when the band is on fire, it's like, oh, this is why I work so hard. This is why I have no money. This is why I stay up late and don't get any sleep and work too hard. This is why, because this feeling, and
Right.
then you see the audience and that feeling, and they combine. You're just like, oh,
Yeah.
It doesn't always
Everything
happen.
clicks, and it's like a magical moment for you.
Yeah, it doesn't always happen, but when it does, it's just like, oh, you don't have to have any alcohol. You don't have to just completely sober. That high of that, it's just like, yeah,
Right.
it gives it purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was talking about the show a little earlier, and Brian again posted something in the questions. I probably need to move these over where you can see them, because
Oh yeah, please.
let me show that one and see if you can see that.
Yep.
All right. Oh, I already asked you that one. That was the wrong one. Where'd it go?
Thanks, Brian.
He asked earlier, because we have some friends that are from the Northeast and up in that area that are Freedom Jam. We call them Freedom Jammers. And Annie Brobst is one of them. Are you familiar with Annie?
I know Annie. Yeah, very well.
She's one of our Freedom Jammers, and also let's see, Southern Justice. A couple of guys from Rhode Island are in that one. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
No.
A couple of good guys, Nate, and I knew I would do that. Nate and Tyler, or Taylor,
Cool.
Taylor, Nate and Taylor, and a couple of great guys. And they've been around a while. They're down in Nashville. And Stephanie Ryan. Stephanie's from up in there. You familiar with Stephanie?
I'm not.
Okay.
I should be writing this down. I love to check out all the artists.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Southern Justice, Stephanie Ryan, they're really great artists. We've got, well, actually, we have one that is from Michigan. I don't know if you've kind of swung over to that area much. Sarah Faith is from Michigan. October Rose, they're from Pennsylvania.
I haven't heard of them, but I like that October Rose.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, that's some of our freedom jammers and cool. Just great people. And, you know, we'll invite you down to Freedom Jam. You want to come? It's in St. Louis, Missouri, August 28th. It's going to be at Lake Wapapello in Poplar Bluff, Missouri on September 25th. We're doing a whole different show, all different artists for that one. And
how do I get to play for your audience, George?
Right. Well, we'll discuss that. We will talk about that. How's that? Because I have a feeling that this is not going to be the only. Well, this is the second year that we've done it, and we've got other places asking us to do it. As a matter of fact, we had somebody up in New York even mentioned maybe doing one up there. So who knows? We never know.
Love it.
So we'll get that all worked out. We'll talk about that. But anyway, so where can people find you as far as social media? Best place to go.
Best place to go? Gosh. HoustonBernard.com is a good place to start, and they've got links to things. But I'm on most of the socials, and, you know, TikTok is a thing. It's been the thing for a minute. And so I'm on there a little bit. I'm on there a lot. I post a lot. I got stuck in a TikTok hole for a minute today with this guy he was just so hilarious. I couldn't stop watching him. And he was so talented. He was like keyboard this, and then he was crazy, and then he was like, I don't know, it was just amazing. I forget his name, but I woke up just dying laughing watching this. But anyway, TikTok, I'm everywhere.
Okay.
I do a live stream every Monday called Music Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and that is typically all at the same time, like you're doing, multi-streaming or whatever they call it, restreaming.
Right.
But mostly, you know, Facebook, Instagram, mainly Twitter, that sort of thing. There's a bunch.
Right.
But I do that, and that's a good place to come hang out, and that's all original. And then TikToks, I do live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, and that's like requests and covers. So I try to do 2 different types of shows.
That's
HoustonBernard.com is the best spot to start.
And then if they want to find your music, that's pretty simple. Everywhere. If you stream music, just look him up. Houston Bernard.
It's there. Yeah. Or just hit me up. Actually, it's better to go to the website if you want to just hear a bunch of the stuff right there and you know, have some fun there.
Yeah, and the website, I have checked it out. It's got a lot of great, you know, pictures, and there's videos and music and more, and that would be kind of cool. So we'll chat about some other things once we get off the air. But I do want to thank you for coming on tonight, and I know it's been great. Thank you for covering my butt. I needed that. So it's
my Army training, George. Is my Army training. Basic training.
Right. You're right. Always have a plan and always have a backup plan. That's how it works. That's why I probably need to run another computer and another camera just in case, but I don't do that. So
well, you know, George, I started out terrible. First I started out dancing. I was like, this is not gonna work. I gotta get a guitar.
Yeah, but hey, it worked. People loved it. I mean, we got a lot of comments off of it. So,
cool.
Thank you for coming on tonight. Thank you for helping out, and we really appreciate it. And look forward to more music from you. Can't wait to hear the new stuff you got coming out. And if you want to follow Houston, then follow him, like he said, on his website or any of the streaming. You can find them there. And while you're there looking for Houston, you can also look up Before Nashville, because we're there too. We're on all of them. So check us out and check out the latest episodes of Before Nashville. Again, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Before Nashville being brought to you by Go-Go Tuners. Check them out, gogotuners.com. Until next time, everybody have a great evening, and we will talk to you soon on Before Nashville.